Well, good morning, boys and girls. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, and today is Crazy Hat Day. And I have on my very favorite crazy hat that I'm going to tell you about in just a minute because it goes with something else we're doing too. It's a goodie, isn't it? My hair is all sticking up. I don't know. I'm having some issues here with my hat. All right. Anyway, today's work, we're going to continue comparing fractions. Remember, the alligator still eats the bigger fraction, fractional part. So don't forget that it's not the denominator that you're looking at. You have to think of the size. Would you rather have 3/4 of that delicious candy bar or just 1/4? So you really need to be thinking about the size of the parts and thinking about which one would be more. Continue working on your science with the zoo animals and writing about them. Many of you have already started turning those in and are doing a great job. So awesome, awesome. And then today's work in ELA, you're working with the Keeping Quilt. And I love that story. You're going to be trying to figure out how each of the characters are related to Patricia, who is our author. And I grabbed this little picture out of Sadie's room, just thinking about how you probably have some connections in your own family where you can think about how people are related to each other. This is a picture I just grabbed, and this is Sadie when she was a baby. And there's me. Whoops, you see my fancy hair? I know that you're impressed. So that's, you know, 2 generations, Sadie and me. And then above me, that's my mother. So we're looking at 3 generations. And then next to my mother, that's Jane. And then next to her is my grandmother, and that's Alice. So that's 4 generations. That's her daughter, and then her daughter, and then her daughter. So we see a little bit of something like that in the story of the Keeping Quilt. Now, of course, in the Keeping Quilt, it goes back even further. And it's really neat to see how those generations in that story go on and on. So I just thought I'd show that. That's my Grandpa Phil there in the middle. So that's one thing. You're trying to figure out how each of the people are related to Patricia in the story and how that quilt has been passed down. You will be doing that part of the paper. And then there's a video link that I hope that you enjoy as much as I do. And it is Patricia talking about her grandmothers and about the quilt itself. And she actually shows you the real Keeping Quilt, which is very, very cool. I love that kind of thing. If you're in my class, you know that I love all of the Russian history. Even from Christmas, all of you are in my class at Christmas time to know how much I love sharing our family's Russian history. And Patricia Polacco's one side of her family is Russian. And I love when she talks about them. One of the questions you'll ask, there's 2 questions when you're done. And one of the questions you might be able to talk about some of the things that maybe were passed down in your family, either traditions or items, which goes back to my fancy hat. Now, if you can believe this, my dad's mother's mother, so my great-grandmother, we called her Nanny. My great-grandmother made this hat, I don't know, I guess around, I would think around 100 years ago. And when I asked my grandmother about it, she said, I know you don't believe me, it really is like a homemade knitted hat that my grandmother made. And it's so silly looking now, and my great-grandmother made. And my grandma said that this was a fancy hat. She would wear it when she went to the store and whatnot. She shopped in this hat. And Sadie and I have absolutely loved wearing this hat for Crazy Hat Day for years and years now. We think it's so funny. It reminds me of a bathing cap. But my great-grandmother made it to go shopping in New York City because it was very fancy. You think it's fancy? I don't know. But I bet I'm going to be wearing it for lots of Crazy Hat Days for years to come. All right. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. I hope you find out some cool stuff today. Bye.